What if I told you that some of the most beautiful places in America are also the most mysterious? Vast forests, endless mountain ranges, deep ravines, silent lakes, places where people go to reconnect with nature and never come back. Across the United States, thousands of people have disappeared in wilderness areas and national parks under strange and unsettling circumstances. In many cases, there are no bodies, no clear trails, no signs of struggle, and no logical explanation. Some vanish in broad daylight, some disappear only a few feet ahead of their group. Some are experienced hikers, hunters, or outdoorsmen who know the terrain well, and some cases involve details so bizarre that conventional explanations start to feel incomplete. So what's really happening out there? Today, we're gonna explore a theory that many people dismiss too quickly, but one that continues to grow in the paranormal and cryptozoology communities. What if some of these disappearances are not accidents, but encounters? Encounters with unknown creatures, or something even stranger. Interdimensional portals. First, let's go into the wilderness. There are many reasons a person can disappear in nature. Let's be fair about that. People can get injured. They can fall into hidden ravines. Weather can change fast. Hypothermia can confuse even the strongest hiker. Wild animals are a danger too. And yes, sometimes crime is involved. But here is the problem. Some disappearances don't behave like normal missing person cases. In certain reports, search dogs lose their scent suddenly. Helicopters find nothing, even in relatively open areas. Victims vanish in places that had been searched multiple times. And in some rare cases, clothing or personal belongings are later found in strange locations, neatly placed or far from where they should logically be. Even more unsettling, many of these disappearances happen in clusters. National parks, dense forests, mountain regions, places with long histories of strange sightings. Places where people have reported hearing strange calls at night, seeing outright figures in the tree line, feeling watched, or experiencing a sudden unnatural silence in the forest. If you have spent time in the wilderness, you know what I mean. Sometimes the forest feels alive in a normal way, and sometimes it feels like something else is there. Let's start with the first major theory: unknown creatures. Bigfoot, Dogman, and other cryptids. Most people think of Bigfoot as a giant ape-like being, elusive and nocturnal, seen mostly in remote forests across North America. Dogman, on the other hand, is usually described as a tall, muscular, canine-like creature, sometimes upright, sometimes moving on all fours, associated with terrifying encounters, intense fears, and often a feeling of pure evil. Skeptics say these are just legends, misidentifications, hoaxes. But the sheer number of reports over decades makes one thing clear. People are seeing something. And if these beings are real, even if only a small percentage of sightings are genuine, then we have to ask a difficult question. Could some missing people have crossed paths with them? Think about it. National parks and remote wilderness areas are exactly where such creatures would live if they exist. Dense cover, limited human access, abundant wildlife, caves, ridges, water sources, huge areas with almost no surveillance. These are ideal conditions for a hidden predator or a highly intelligent territorial species. Some cryptid researchers believe Bigfoot is not just an undiscovered primate, but a highly intelligent being that actively avoids humans, watches us, and may even understand our behavior. Others suggest Dogman is more aggressive, less shy, more confrontational, and potentially dangerous. If a hiker, child, hunter, or camper wanders into the grown area, especially near dusk, near caves, or in deep forest, what happens then? There are reports, and I know many of you have heard of massive footprints found near missing person zones. Strange howls or screams before someone vanishes. Witnesses describing something not human moving between trees. Sudden paralysis or overwhelming fear in the woods. Some survivors of near disappearance incidents describe hearing heavy footsteps pacing them, but seeing nothing. Others report rocks being thrown from the woods, branches snapping in impossible patterns, or feeling as if they were being herded away from a trail. Could this be territorial behavior? Could some of these cases be abductions by unknown creatures? I know that sounds extreme, but if we are willing to admit that the wilderness still holds undiscovered species, and history shows that new species are found all the time, then completely ruling this out may be more irrational than considering it. And remember, in many of these mysterious cases, there is no evidence of a human attacker. No weapon, no vehicle, no obvious motive. Just absence. And in some cases, the terrain itself seems to swallow the person whole. Which brings us to the second theory, and this one is even stranger. What if some people don't die in the forest but live our reality? This is the theory that many people laugh at until they start reading the reports. For decades, hikers, hunters, and campers have described bizarre experiences in remote areas. Sudden silence in the forest, a strange humming sound, time distortion, a wall or shimmer in the air, disorientation that feels unnatural, missing time, a powerful urge to leave a specific area immediately. Some describe stepping into a place where everything feels wrong, as if the atmosphere changes. No birds, no wind, no insects, just silence. Then confusion. Then panic. And later they realize time has passed. Sometimes far more than they thought. Paranormal researchers have long suggested that certain wilderness areas may contain thin places, locations where the boundary between dimensions is weaker. Call them portals, call them vortexes, call them tears in reality. Different cultures have used different names, but the idea is ancient. There are places where the normal rules don't fully apply. In this theory, some missing persons may accidentally enter one of these zones, not a sci-fi portal glowing blue in the middle of the woods. Something subtler, a natural anomaly, a distortion, a doorway you don't recognize until it's too late. This could explain some of the strangest details in wilderness disappearances. Why someone vanishes instantly with no trace? Why dogs lose the scent suddenly, as if it ends in one spot? Why search teams miss a person in an area already checked? Why belongings sometimes appear later in impossible locations? Why some rare survivors are found far away and can't explain what happened? There are also stories of people who return confused, unable to describe where they were, or giving dream-like accounts that make no sense geographically. Some say they saw lights, some heard voices, some described landscape that looked familiar but grown. Now, could trauma and exposure cause strange memories? Of course. But again, the pattern is what keeps people asking questions. And national parks, with their unique geology, magnetic anomalies, deep cave systems, and ancient landscapes, may be exactly the kind of place where such phenomena could occur. What if the forest is not just hiding animals, but openings? What if in certain places people are not being taken by something, but slipping through something? Now, here's where things get really interesting. Some researchers believe these two theories are not separate at all. What if cryptids and interdimensional phenomena are connected? These are eyewitness reports where Bigfoot scientists are accompanied by strange lights, electrical interference, or sudden silence. Some witnesses claim the creatures seem to appear and disappear in impossible ways. Dogman encounters also often include overwhelming dread, confusion, and reports that don't behave like a normal animal encounter. This has led some people to propose a more radical idea. These beings may not be ordinary biological creatures, or at least not entirely. Maybe they move through spaces we don't understand. Maybe they use natural dimensional wake points. Maybe they come from somewhere else, not another planet, but another layer of reality. That would explain why we get sightings, but no clear proof. Tracks appear and stop abruptly. Witnesses report impossible movement. Encounters happen in specific hotspot regions. If that sounds too far-fetched, remember, 100 years ago, many things we now accept would have sounded impossible too. The truth is, we still know very little about consciousness, dimensions, and the deeper structure of reality. And the wilderness may be the last place where those mysteries still touch our world directly. Of course, we should mention other possibilities too. Some disappearances are likely due to exposure and hypothermia, falls and injuries in difficult terrain, animal attacks, foul play, mental confusion or panic behavior, and yes, many cases probably have tragic but natural explanations. But not all of them feel that way. There are cases that leave investigators, families, and search teams with more questions than answers. Cases where the facts don't fit. Cases where logic starts to crack. Cases where the wilderness seems to behave differently. That's why these mysteries continue to fascinate people. Because deep down, many of us feel the same thing when we enter a vast forest, that we are not alone, and that nature may hide more than just trees and animals. So what do you think? Are these disappearances simply tragic accidents in unforgiving terrain, or are some of them evidence of something far stranger? Unknown creatures hiding in the American wilderness? Apex predators we haven't officially acknowledged? Or maybe interdimensional portals, invisible fault lines in reality, swallowing people without warning? Maybe the truth is one of these, maybe it's both. Or maybe it's something even more unsettling, something we still don't have a name for. If you've ever had a strange experience in the woods, hearing something impossible, seeing something you cannot explain, losing time, feeling watched, tell me in the comments. And if you want, I can also make a second part focused on specific cases and hotspot locations in US national parks where these disappearances happen most often. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you enjoy paranormal mysteries, cryptids, and the unexplained. Because out there, beyond the trails, beyond the maps, beyond what we think we know, something is waiting.